Welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot. Today, our pick a card reading involves choosing a path to unveil your near future. 3 stretch out before you, each revealing something different about what's coming next. It could be a warning with guidance on how to navigate past a pitfall. It could be a trail of highs and lows with a heads up to steady your footing. Or it could be a path leading somewhere you've been hoping for, if you're brave enough to walk it. Take a look at these 3 paths. Path 1 on the left, we have the 3 of Spells. A hooded figure releases magic across the water, lighting a glittering path in the night for you to follow. In the middle, we have Path 2 with the white Hart. A white deer waits on a forest path obscured with mist, beckoning you forward into the unknown. And last but not least, we have Path 3 on the right with Moonlit. A foggy path leading to a still pool where even the creatures of the forest pause, uncertain which way to go, not sure which direction is real. Pause here if you need a moment to choose, but when you are ready, your timestamp is waiting in the description. I'll see you in the woods. Hello there, path or pile number 1. Welcome to your near future reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the path of the 3 of Spells, which is a watery path at night with the way lit for you by the spells that are cast by the hooded figure in the background. We'll put your pile leader over here to the left to begin. And let us start with drawing your oracle cards, calling on spirit for your highest best good. Can you give us a glimpse into Path 1, Pile 1's future? Thank you. What would you like them to know about their path ahead? All right, that one for sure wanted to come out, so we'll take it. Well, we have quite a few cards wanting to come out, so I'm going to take these 2. Thank you, Spirit. And let's unveil those. So the first tea leaf you received today, Path 1, was the rose with romance is in the air. The second one in the middle is the flying bird with news is on the way. And then your third tea leaf today is the bowl with plenty of material things. So already, Pile 1, we have a lot of cards regarding kind of different categories in life. We already have relationships mentioned, maybe specifically romance. We have something about news coming your way, maybe a message of some sort, maybe news that you've been waiting for, perhaps. And we have a prediction about having plenty of something, specifically material things. But let us keep going and seeing what else comes out with your oracle decks today. And actually, we're going to switch these around to make more room. Beautiful. And we'll set your bird over to the right. Well, speaking of birds, now we have the owl and the hop. Flew out very quickly. And the owl and the hop has the tagline or a keyword of wisdom. And owls tend to see very well in the night. They are associated with Athena. Perhaps there's also, hence because of wisdom being mentioned, advice for you on this path. So I believe, Pile 1, you are going to have quite the multifaceted reading today. There's going to be maybe quite a multitude of messages coming out. And then we have Be the Best Version of Yourself and Start Today, number 31, if you're interested in the numerology, which is, of course, added together. 3 plus 1 is 4, which means stability, typically, in my own estimation. Very beautiful spread of cards here for you today, pile 1. Definitely there's advice, as I was saying. I think that will come out more prominently in the tarot cards when we pull your tarot card spread, so we'll hold off on the owl for a bit. But what I am seeing is something regarding, I think you either wanted to start something recently, but you weren't sure 100% when to let it go forward or when to actually take that first step. That is mirrored not only in the Start Today card from the Healing Spirits Oracle that you received, but also literally, if you're not familiar with what the Three of Spells or Three of Wands, as it's traditionally known in tarot, means, it means actually launching a plan of some sort based on, well, plans that we've already made beforehand. It's like the action step after we've gone through and plotted our A to Z with something. So that is a very prominent synchronous theme for you today. So I think Spirit wants to talk to you about that, of course. And I think that path might lead you to plenty of material things. It's also maybe something that may include romance. Now, for those of you that already have a partner, I would say that probably means that there's something like you're going to do with your partner that probably like enhances your relationship with this path. It just kind of strengthens the connection, perhaps, is what I'm feeling intuitively. Or for those of you that are single, you're currently looking for a partner, or maybe you're not even looking for one, but you're open to that idea. Could mean that you actually meet a partner on this particular path ahead. So far, this doesn't look like a super spooky path. It's not the really scary path with, creepy trees and shadows and monsters. It looks like a pretty prosperous one. But of course, we will see all of the synchronicities when we draw your tarot cards right now. So once again, calling on Spirit for your highest, best good. Please give us the 5 tarot cards for pile 1 today for their path ahead. Thank you. Okay, we actually already had one fall out, so I'm going to reach down and grab that where it fell. Oh, I lied. We actually have 2. One fell in my lap, and you received Death, which maybe looks scary on the surface, but that typically represents change. And let me grab the other one moment. So quite unexpectedly, we had 2 cards already come forward. We have the 10 of Pentacles, which can be related to family as well. Material success too, because as 10, it is the completion of the cycle of material plans or goals that you might have in mind. So that totally makes sense with maybe we saw with what Bull says when it says, plenty of material things. But let's see. We'll keep going. All right, and there's your 3rd card today, pile 1. We have the 5 of Wands, a little bit of fire after the Earth of the 10 of Pentacles. I almost wonder if, and this is kind of a prominent theme that's been popping up recently in a lot of the readings, so maybe this is kind of a communal, common collective message for everyone that watches this channel, but may mean that part of the reason why you're not stepping forward with this quite yet, that you've been afraid to start or you're not sure when to, is because you're afraid of competition. You're not sure about how you're going to measure up against the others in the same niche and or category, whatever, of course, the thing is that you're trying to start. Then we have the World. We have another major arcana like Death. Usually means the end of a cycle, and success too, just kind of like 10 of Pentacles also tends to mean as a end of a cycle with success in terms of material things. And last but not least, we have the 10 of Cups reversed. So that one's a little bit, I think, more on the side of advice here, pile 1. Most of this looks like predictions to me. It's more of a predictive reading, but we do have a bit of advice with the 10 of Cups reversed coming out. It's just like in the intro when I said where some of this reading might be advice to help you avoid pitfalls along your path. So we'll, of course, talk about that in a moment once we get to that particular interpretation. However, looks pretty good to me, as I said earlier, especially now that we have all of your cards on the desk. Nothing majorly bad. It looks like a lot of progress is coming for you in the near future. It looks like, especially a lot of cycles coming to an end. That is a very prominent, I would almost say your number 1 underlined theme from Spirit here today. Because not only do we have Death, which is the end of a cycle and the start of a new one. That's why it tends to represent either change or rebirth. Death really is just a door. It's not an ending. But we also have the Ten of Pentacles, which is, as I said, the end of a cycle with success, and the World is the end of a cycle in general. It's like the curtain close on some sort of chapter in your life. So I think this near future, although there is a lot of things starting for you, a lot of it is predisposed, I guess is the word I would say, or it kind of is based on you ending a lot of things. However, it's not an ending in a bad way, pile one. It's endings in happy ways. Just like, at the end of a Shakespearean comedy where everyone gets, married, happily ever after, etc. Of course, life isn't quite that dramatic, right? But just to use an example. And that's actually kind of ironic because at the end we have the Ten of Cups reversed, which usually means, a not so happily ever after, but that's why I said that's kind of more of an advice card for you to avoid something in that area. So, number 1, I do see, one second. I will say this, pile 1. I don't know 100% what all of you are just on the cusp of starting. I would say for most of you it is related to career or business because of the Pentacles card and the Bull card being, material things. But whatever it is, even if it's not specifically about money, I think you're being heavily encouraged in that direction because there is success with launching here in the near future predicted for you. Okay. I know you might be afraid of the competition as we discussed with the Five of Wands because that is a card of, people butting heads, ambitions clashing together, or it could even be not necessarily you clashing with other people. It could be that you have so many ambitions, pile 1, that they're all kind of clashing together in your head for, vying for the number 1 spot of what's the one thing you should pursue next. If that is more your wheelhouse, if that's more what's going on here, where it's less other people and it's more a concern of, will I have all the energy for all of these ambitions, you might be pushed in a direction to kind of close some things. You might have to let some things go in order to start these new things that you want to pursue because you have so many cards that revolve around endings and bringing things to a curtain close. But as I said, they're not bad endings, okay? In fact, I think, too, a lot of, or at least maybe one of them might kind of naturally come to a close. Something that you're doing might come to a natural end here very soon. But as I said, it's a good end that leaves you feeling happy afterwards. Let's see here. So we talked about starting new things, ending old cycles. It also, not just in external success here, pile 1, but internally, I see a lot of progress and growth in terms of, I would almost say, your confidence. I feel like this next step or this next chapter for you on this path is going to really boost your confidence because of all the successes that are coming your way. Because naturally, yes, we don't want to get all of our validation from outside sources. It's good to get them within too, but I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't feel good when we do have external validations and successes to help buoy up our self-confidence. So I see that also coming to fruition. I think it's also the ending of cycles that have just been very worn and tired out. Death representing that rebirth of something. You might even be taking something that you've been doing so far and not necessarily abandoning it, but you might be transforming it into a new form through that process of rebirth, or maybe it's like taking it to the next level. I also think too, if you have had some issues recently with competition in your life, maybe that's been part of your hesitance or what's been kind of bothering you lately, that also I feel like is coming to a close. Also struggles with family as well, because we do have that element a little bit with the Ten of Pentacles, or specifically the Ten of Pentacles can point at inheritance or legal problems around inheritance, if that's also been plaguing you recently, if you're at that stage in your life where that comes up, after, unfortunately, people do pass away and inheritances do come down, and, sometimes people do fight over that. So if that is also your case, if that resonates with you, that also seems like it's coming to an end. Now, if you're asking when you should start new things, as your Healing Spirits Oracle says on the right, it says, be the best version of yourself and start today. So it's kind of a, not, an in-your-face neon sign from Spirit saying, you better start right now. However, I think it would be in your best interests to close as many chapters that you want to close here in the near future and start new ones as soon as possible within the constraints of, that you've already kind of planned them out. You already know that you have a game plan for everything going forward. And yes, I do see plenty coming from that. Now, I do want to draw some extra cards for you on both the romance card and the news coming your way with the bird flying card, because these other cards, I don't necessarily see so many synchronicities between them and the meanings of those. So I just want to make sure I get the full breadth of what those particular messages are about for you before you leave your reading today, pile 1. So let's look at that right now. Oh, and if you just want another synchronicity I noticed when it comes to successful cycles, specifically the hop in the Owl on Hop card represents achievement, because like all vine plants, the hop tends to take a slow time to grow. It grows very, it takes its time as it winds up whatever it is growing around, but when it does, then it comes to like a very tall zenith. So I think not only are these endings for you that tall zenith in terms of that's the level of success you'll probably achieve, it's also in the near future with the new things that you start, maybe even a higher zenith than you did before. So that's why I once again kind of feel like some of you might be doing projects that are not completely retiring them, but you might just be bringing them to the next level so they can hit a higher ceiling than they did before in their first incarnation. Okay, so first up we have for the Rose with romances in the air, the Knight of Pentacles reversed. Could mean that perhaps in romance lately, whether you have a partner or you are single, there has been a lack of progress in some way regarding finding physical locations to meet a partner, or like the places you've been going to meet a partner haven't been working out. Or it could also be to that with the Knight of Pentacles reversed, for those of you that are already in a partnership with someone, I would almost kind of see that, especially because of the way that he holds the map here. This is a very interesting way of depicting the Knight of Pentacles. It's like maybe the relationship, for those of you currently in one, feels like you don't really know where it's going. You've been so far kind of just seeing how it goes, we're just kind of feeling it out, we're vibing it out, right? But then because of so much or so many messages of progress in this reading, I feel like that means that this is part of what's going to change. You're going to finally be able to kind of see a horizon with this relationship a little bit more, if you don't already. And I'll pull maybe one more tarot card on that one. And then we have the Fool. Okay, speaking of endings and beginnings, I'm sorry, once again, you just have another repetition here, but that's also good, pile 1, because it's just reiterating and reaffirming to us that what we've been seeing here from Spirit is for sure the answer. So the Fool is just like, the world, in that it represents an ending and a beginning, because they're both at the very end and beginning of the major arcana in tarot. It's about a new start with romance, so that could mean if you're single, finding a new relationship. Makes total sense with the Fool. Or if you're currently in a relationship, it's like starting a whole new adventure within the relationship that feels new. It's like a new level of it. It's like a level up. Or it could also mean that it's like you and your partner are embarking on a new adventure together that's actually going to strengthen the relationship too. Now, that might be involved with this new project or business or whatever thing is you just wanted to start. Maybe that's kind of what seals the deal in terms of the connection strengthening, but that's at least kind of what I'm hearing intuitively. Either way, though, where you felt there was progress stalled before, or a lack of planning or steady progress, that's what's going to change because of this new adventure within the relationship. Or if you're single, as I said, the starting of the relationship is the whole new adventure. So now let's grab some clarity on the news. What news is coming for them, Spirit? We have the Four of Swords reversed. Okay, that can mean something waking up, something that felt like it was asleep before, as you can see in the upright version of this card. He's just sleeping in his boat. He's lazily going down the river, but reversed, it means something is activating finally. So you're going to get news about something that seemed like it was either sleeping or would never wake up. Might kind of come as a shock, because you're like, well, that was out of the blue. I mean, I thought that thing was... I thought I already crossed that bridge and that opportunity was behind me, but now something wakes up, and I'll draw one more card for clarity on that. And then we have the Page of Pentacles reversed. It's something related to business or career or stability, material wealth, things like that. That could be related to the bowl that we talked about earlier too. And the Page of Pentacles reversed can mean, you know, perhaps in the past, the reason why you thought this thing was inactive or sleeping or it wouldn't come back was because someone was involved that is represented by the Page of Pentacles reversed. So that could be a younger earth sign. I don't really read pages as either masculine or feminine, so it could be either, you know, gender, right? But at the same time, if not a younger earth sign, it can just mean someone that felt like they were kind of going willy-nilly. They weren't really planning things out. They were, you know, are not taking advantage of opportunities materially or with career or business. And then all of a sudden they reach out and they wake up. And especially I find it interesting that it's almost both of these figures. I'll hold it up again. Both of these figures are wearing gray and they're both kind of laying down. They seem like they're kind of lazy. They're just kind of taking life as it goes. But then all of a sudden with that reversed energy, it's like, oh, okay, now we're getting out of the grass, we're getting out of the boat, we're waking up, and we're actually going to reach out. So someone that seems kind of sleepy, I guess lately is the term to use. That's part of where this message is coming from. So it's going to be kind of unexpected, of course. Well, now you know to expect it because you watch this reading, right? But overall, though, it'll feel kind of unexpected, and you're like, oh, so just look out for that, pile one. So yes, nothing too negative, although, like I said, we do have, just cap off the reading, a little bit of advice here with the Ten of Cups reversed. I don't want to miss that because I did promise advice from this one. So the Ten of Cups reversed can actually mean, as I said before, not attaining a happily ever after, especially when it comes to like relationships or our emotions, our heart, or our satisfaction emotionally with things. Because just like the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups can represent, you know, the resolution or the zenith or the peak of, you know, instead of being related to business like Pentacles, this is related to the zenith or peak of relationships or emotions. So I would almost say this is a piece of advice as you go through this next chapter of yours. Really redefine, especially when it comes to relationships and your heart, what does happily ever after look like to you? I wonder if maybe that's part of why there's been a stall in progress with that Nine of Pentacles with the romance. Maybe that's why it feels like nothing's really been planned out, because maybe you're not really 100% sure what you wanted from the relationship yet. If you're currently in a relationship, or if you're single looking for a relationship, same thing. Helping define what that happily ever after looks like for you will help invite that energy of that relationship into your life, okay? So just keep that in mind, and I think you will avoid that outcome of the Ten of Cups reversed if you heed that wisdom and that advice. So beautiful. That is your near future reading for today, my wonderful pile / my, well, path number one, the water magic path. I hope that reading helped you. I hope it resonated. I hope that, of course, that you liked it. And if so, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I will see you in the woods again sometime soon. Hello there, pile / path number 2, the path of the White Hart through the foggy forest. As you recall, you were drawn to, well, the White Hart as your pile leader. But let's begin your near future reading with your oracle card spread. So calling on Spirit for your highest, best good with the best intentions in mind. Spirit, can you tell us what is in the near future that you want pile / path number 2 to know? Thank you. Okay, there is your first tea leaf, and actually, I'm going to put your White Hart up here next to the pine cone. And we'll grab your second tea leaf. And there we are. Let's unveil those. So first tea leaf for you, we have the Fly, a period of ill health, depression. And the second tea leaf today is Shield. You need to defend yourself. So I know at first glance, Pile 2, that the fly looks kind of negative because it's, it does say ill health and depression, but I almost wonder if that might be related to what you've already been feeling up until the point of this particular reading or this next chapter in your life. And it could very well mean, with the shield as context, that part of this near future for you is learning how to defend yourself from the very things that may have been making you feel as if you've had ill health or depression recently. Also, I wonder, maybe some of you are watching this while you're sick, which my condolences if so. Never fun to have, any kind of sickness, but that could also be what the fly is referring to. So there might be some developments in the near future with, well, number one, you getting better, right? Also, too, with you recovering from a emotional downturn of some sort. But let's keep going. We'll get more context, of course. We'll grab your other oracle cards. And that actually is especially emphasized with something ending and something beginning, because the white heart that you were drawn to is actually the Fool in most tarot decks, and the Fool tends to represent new beginnings, something closing and you starting something new chapters in life, new paths. So I do feel like this is a new energy kind of reading, so I feel like that fly is probably more stagnant old energy that is leaving. And then from the Woodland Wardens, we have the Bear and the Cedar with leadership. So perhaps an opportunity for leadership in your near future. Oops. There I go, knocking my lantern. Making noise. Whereas before we were quiet. And then we have Healing Spirits Oracle. Oh, another thing I want to mention is that the number for your Bear Cedar leadership card is 4 in the Roman numeral, and 4 in numerology, for at least my perspective, tends to represent stability. So once again, it's like you recovering from a downtrend into more of an upswing of some sort, be it with, say, a leadership position or needing to defend yourself more, or, sickness and depression. And then we have from the Healing Spirits number 44. So 4 is very emphasized. Remember, I just said 4 was your number in the Bear and Cedar. You have 44 here. So definitely a new period of a lot more stability than we had in the past. And it says, there is so much more to you than you think. There is so much more to you than you think. And I'm really drawn to intuitively the red color, not only just because that does represent strength, it represents passion and vigor, but it's similar to the red in the shield cards. So I wonder too if maybe recently you've been going through a lot of issues. Maybe that's what's been causing you feeling sort of bad in some way, better, or either physical or mental, emotional. And then you've been going through that because there have maybe been people walking over you a lot recently. And so these shield cards and the so much more to you than you think card is going to give you a glimpse into a near future of you finally being able to suppress or push away those energies of people walking all over you, if that kind of makes sense, Pile 2. But we'll see too, of course, with your tarot cards. That'll give us the full glimpse. All right, Spirit for the highest best good of Pile 2 today. Once again, tell us more about their near future. Well, it's a lot of cards already. We have 2. Lots of swords. So swords are the air cards in tarot. That tends to make me think that a lot of the ill health, so to speak, was more on the mental side. So, depression, anxiety of some sort. Could be regarding a feeling of a lack of planning in your life because of the Page of Swords having come out first, or feeling like things are kind of confusing in terms of your direction. Maybe that's why you were not unconsciously, subconsciously is the better word to use, drawn to the White Heart with the foggy path, because maybe it feels like life right now is a bit of a foggy path for you, Pile 2. And then we have the 5 of Swords reversed, which is actually a very good card to get reversed. In terms of predictions, it means conflict coming to an end. So just to reiterate, this is a synchronicity with the shield and then the red card with much more to you than you think, as the subtitle says. And the synchronicity basically is saying that conflict is coming to an end. I think you're going to, maybe win isn't the best word, but overcome verbal conflicts you've had with other people, especially in terms of defending yourself, pile 2. So that does seem to be on the mend here in the near future. And then your third card, we have the Six of Pentacles. Very beautiful card, especially in terms of if you are looking for greater financial material success, specifically in terms of the fairness or the charity of things. Those are the two main keywords we like to use with the Six of Pentacles, because it's about, just like you can see here in the image, someone has lots of sunflowers, and from his basket, he's sharing those sunflowers with everybody else, so everybody gets a piece of the pie, so to speak. So I think, too, there's something happening in the near future for you where before things were kind of unfair. In fact, maybe that's kind of where this conflict was coming from with people walking all over you. Maybe people weren't being very fair to you in terms of materials or money resources or at your job. That's another area that the Pentacles can speak to in life. And so that may mean that you'll finally get the compensation that you're looking for. You'll get at least the fairness that you're looking for. And that inherently will help heal all of this, too, that has been going on so far in your life that's not been, not been so fun, as we were saying. And then the fourth card we have is the Knight of Cups reversed. Now, this might be a bit of an advice card. It might be a little bit of a heads up card, potentially around some sort of person coming in your life in the near future, or currently is an influence that will continue to be an influence that maybe this near future revolves around trying to remove that influence, because being reversed, that tends to mean this person is having a negative energy in your life. But we'll talk about that more in a moment. And then the final card is the Six of Swords. Beautiful. That is a wonderful capstone to all of your tarot cards today, pile 2. And not to be repetitive, but it is a very good sign in terms of you moving forward. That's literally what the Six of Swords represents, is just like the woman on the boat. It's, I am done with this place and I'm ready to move on. So there's a lot of forward momentum here, I would say, is the main keyword or phrase I would use for your path ahead, pile 2. There's a lot of, yes, unfortunately, having to kind of remove a lot of negative influence, and I think that's where the Knight of Cups reversed advice will come out. Same thing too, maybe with the Page of Swords reversed, but at the same time, after all of that is kind of cleared away and swept out, then everything will be a lot easier for you to move on into more prosperous pastures, I guess I would say. Now, where do I want to go first with your reading? We already, of course, talked about you needing to defend yourself a bit more. You've had to so far, and all that conflict. So I won't repeat that again, just because we've already kind of discussed that when the Five of Swords reversed come out. But just as a quick reminder, yes, I do see that verbal conflict and that fighting coming to an end, because some influence comes into your life here that makes things more fair. I think up until this point, there might have been... Now, the Page of Swords is interesting because, like all court cards in tarot, it can represent a person. So a Page of Swords reversed tends to mean someone with negative influence on the situation because it's reversed, who is a younger or acts more youthful or immature, probably air sun signs, so, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. And or even if that's not their main sun sign, it could also mean that a Page of Swords reversed indicates like a person who is, they don't know what direction they want to go in. They're not really making a lot of logical sense, or they're making like a lot of really immature logical decisions because of that, influence of where immaturity and the air element meet because of this card. So I think maybe that's the main person that's perhaps been driving this walking all over you, or maybe it's not just one person. It could be that multiple people, if it's like a group of people that have been walking all over you, pile 2, like they're all kind of Page of Swords reverse energy people, which is not fun to deal with at all. They're immature, they don't make logical sense, they're not doing anything that makes any sense, like they don't know, they're illogical, they're not making decisions based on what is the smartest thing to do. They tend to make decisions based maybe more on power or on their feelings, or just no wonder why things have not been fair to you in this situation. I think too, actually, part of the reason why you might find this fairness finally with the Six of Pentacles as your heart of the matter card, central card, I should say, is because you're being invited to take leadership in some way here in the near future. And because you have the number 4 repeated so many times, also 6, right? But 4 is the main one with the bear, and then your Healing Spirits Oracle with the red on the right. Your leadership, if you are offered that opportunity, well, number 1, I think you should take it. Although I always say in my tarot readings, you never have to do what I or Spirit tell you. You always have free will. But I think you're being highly encouraged in that direction, pile 2, because I think you are a greater stabilizing element than the other people that have been in this situation thus far. I think you have a greater grip on things in terms of getting the boat going, maybe like literally getting a ship sailing with like the Six of Swords metaphor there. But at the same time, too, it's an opportunity for you to walk into that greater confidence, greater self-esteem, because you're finally allowed to breathe, you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to achieve more because you don't have this negative energy holding you back anymore. So if you are offered leadership in the near future, and I think you might, I would recommend that you step into that position, because I think not only will it I can't talk today. I was going to say, not only can you maybe grain is a sort of symbol here, I don't know. Not only will it bring greater stability to yourself, pile 2, but I think you might also, with your leadership, be able to bring greater stability to everyone involved. I think you actually might be that Six of Pentacles energy factor that makes the whole situation fair. So some of you, this might be actually like a work situation, and it's maybe you're offered a promotion in terms of like you get to manage the people on that team after the bad influence, maybe who was that Page of Swords reversed, is removed from the situation, and therefore everyone benefits and values the change because you're probably a better leader than this person was, or people were, right? And just even like pay might be fair too. That's another way that the Six of Pentacles can represent itself. And in general, Six of Swords, as I said, is about moving forward to somewhere better. As I said, more prosperous pastures, especially with the pentacles there in the center. Now, you do have some advice with the Knight of Cups reversed. So this is a little bit, like I said in the intro, perhaps a pitfall that this is a spirit warning you about so that you can take the advice to avoid the pitfall in the near future. Now, the Knight of Cups, as I said when I introduced it first, can represent a person in the situation just like the Page of Swords does. So a Knight of Cups reversed person could be, tends to be not young, maybe 30s to 40s, I would say, tends to be probably a water sign because it is cups. However, if they're not a water sign or around that age, it could just mean in general that they're currently acting in the energy or will in the near future of they take action in a way that is not healthy in an emotional way, or they take action that completely disregards their emotions. Completely. So that actually, I mean, it could technically be you in the situation, pile 2, in which case, if you find that resonates in the near future here for you, your advice from Spirit is to not think about things completely 100% in cold logic, to also take action, because that's what knights do in tarot. They're the action takers. They're the message makers. This one recommends that you take action with a little bit more heart and emotion in mind. I think the reason why this might be a warning to you, if it is you specifically, is because so far people have been so illogical in the situation that's been going on up until this point that you might try to veer more in the direction of, okay, there's been a lack of logic. Now we're going to take this, Uno reverse card, this whole situation, in the direction of, okay, we need like 100% logic. However, you might swing the pendulum a little bit too far to the other side. So this is really more of a reminder of just keep in mind the balance between what is the logical thing to do and what is the heartfelt thing to do. And I think, especially if you are given a leadership opportunity, you'll lead even that much better if you take that advice into account. Or if this is a person, it's not so much yourself, it's like another person in your life here in the near future. Maybe you even already recognize who this is, pile 2, in which case this might be a little bit of warning that they might have a little bit of a negative influence in the near future, in which case I do just want to draw one more card of advice for you if that is how that more resonates, so that you know how to avoid that pitfall with that person. So you know, someone who doesn't act with, you know, either enough emotion or a little bit too much emotion in a bad way. Once again, we're kind of talking about like balance here. Let's see, how do you deal with them? The Two of Pentacles. Well, how funny. I was just talking about balance, and then we literally got the card of balance. We literally have the girl on the bike who's balancing the Two Pentacles. Okay, so just the best way to remove that negative influence is if it's yourself here, veering too much away from, you know, being heartfelt or being emotional because there was such a lack of logic in the recent past. This is just a double reminder for you guys to walk the path with lots of balance. Okay. Also, it can mean that maybe there might be a little bit of having to balance finances too. Maybe a lot of these illogical decisions have led to financial issues wherever this place is, or with your family or workplace, whatever this might be for you. In which case, they're saying just focus on balancing the finances and it should be okay. However, if this is another person you're recognizing and you're like, you already know that that's not you, pile 2 with the Knight of Cups reversed, it can mean that you might have to limit their influence by being a balance to them. Okay, so if you have this person who acts either emotionally immature or they act in such a cold way that there's like literally no heart to them at all, like maybe they're kind of ruthless. That's another way to describe a Knight of Cups reversed. Once again, be their balance. Wherever you see inconsistency or wherever you see something tipping too much in the favor of one side of the scales, I mean, hey, maybe you're a Libra, right? Too much on the other side of the scales, especially if you're a Libra, it's gonna trigger. You're gonna like, I want to balance that scale out, right? But even in general too, if you're not a Libra. Remember balance. Also, work-life balance. That's another thing that might come out. You might, because if you do have to kind of remedy a lot of problems that were yours or, well, inherited to you from people in the past that were a negative influence in the situation, remember work-life balance, okay? So take that advice into account for that aspect of your life as well. And also, just as a final parting message for you today, remember what your Healing Spirits Oracle here says on the right. There's so much more to you than you think. I think, especially if you have been kind of beaten down recently, there might be a tendency on your part to want to be small, to kind of hide away, to not really shine brightly. But Spirit is telling you, as another kind of little tidbit of advice here on your path forward, that you need to be louder and brighter and not feel like you have to shrink down so small. Instead of being the timid mouse in the corner, try being the bright shining star in the center. And that, I think, will also bode well for you, and that will also help bring you to the prosperity and the movement forward that the Six of Swords talks about that you have been looking for. Okay, so don't be afraid to be a leader. Follow balance in all its principles in all aspects of your life here in this near future, okay? And just know that I think a lot of negative influences are leaving, and there's just one, maybe minor one here in the near future with that Knight of Cups reverse that is very easily remedied with the balance advice of the Two of Pentacles. Okay? So, that was your Forest Path reading today, my wonderful pile 2 about your near future. I hope, of course, that you liked it, it helped you, and it resonated with your situation. And if so, please like the video, please comment down below, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I will see you in the woods again sometime soon. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, pile/path number 3. Welcome to your near future reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the, well, Moonlit path, or literally the card of Moonlight. So we'll start by putting your pile leader at the top, and let's grab your oracle cards to delve into the path ahead for you. So calling on Spirit for your highest best good with the best intentions in mind. Can you tell us a little bit more about their near future? Thank you. What do you want them to know most? is your second tea leaf and let us unveil those for you. So the first one today is, the box. You will receive a gift. So already this path looks a little bit more like a blessing coming your way. We'll, of course, receive more insight into what that gift is here with your other cards. But first, the second tea leaf is funnel. A period of frustration, lessons to be learned. Okay, so there's the other side of this reading so far. Could mean that there is a little bit of a frustration coming for you, or perhaps you've been having a lot of frustrations recently. However, the silver lining is that it does come to an end, and we do learn lessons in the end that help us with their wisdom in the future to make the path forward a bit easier. So let's keep going and see what else comes out for you. Feeling drawn to this one. We have the hawk and the thistle with graceful persistence. I think you also should commend yourself in the recent past. Even though this is a near future reading, sometimes past influences, of course, come into play. Intuitively, I'm hearing Spirit wants you to pat yourself on the back for the way you have been persistent despite your recent frustrations. Maybe, too, a funnel makes me think of a bottleneck of some sort. Maybe there's been something slowing you down that you want something to progress faster. Maybe it's been a bit of a monkey wrench in your path. Perhaps something at work has been kind of slow, or a personal project at hand has been delayed in some way because of this bottleneck or this funnel. But despite that, path 3, you have been gracefully persistent. You've taken the frustration with grace. So please commend yourself for that before we continue. And then we have from the healing spirits, if the world around you seems turbulent, stop, with the number 40, which of course in numerology adds to just 4 plus 0, which does mean stability. That has been actually quite a prominent theme amongst a lot of the readings today, is stability. So thankfully, I think as a community, as a collective, we are entering a period that seems a little bit more stable, at least based on what I can tell. So that does bode well for the path ahead. But yes, perhaps things have been turbulent because of, say, this bottleneck of frustration, this funnel you've been going through. However, I think you will be rewarded for your patience and your persistence, and I think that might be part of what this actual box gift is. And on top of that, I didn't even talk about your pile leader yet. I'll do that as I draw your tarot cards here. Your pile leader you were drawn to today, if you're not familiar with the moon in tarot, tends to represent a situation where things are not what they seem. It's a card of illusions. It's a card of mysteries being unveiled. So it could be that right now, up until this point, something has not been what it seemed in your life, and part of the theme going forward might be this path unveils something for you and you realize, oh, that wasn't exactly what I expected it to be, but we'll keep going. Lots of cards coming out. We have the 8 of Wands reversed, and that, my friends, is very funny. It's very synchronous, I should say, because I was just talking about things having a bottleneck, things being slower than we want. And with that being said, I'll give you one guess, even if you don't know tarot by heart, what the 8 of Wands reverse represents. Things going a lot slower than we expected them to. And that's kind of the beginning energy, I think, leading into this. Yes, for sure. I think a lot of you are going to resonate with a situation where things have been a little bit too slow for our comfort. We want things to, speed up. Snapping your fingers. Come on, universe, get it going. However, things have been delayed a little bit. So we do see that. And then we have the King of Cups, which is typically mastery with something regarding relationships with emotions, our connections to other people, emotional maturity too. I think that could also represent a person in the situation, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. And then we have the 2 of Cups reversed. Okay, perhaps that is part of the reason why things have been bottlenecked. Also, the reversals in this particular kind of reading might represent advice for you on the path ahead, so I will cover it in that manner as well. Then in the fourth position, we have the Fool reversed. Okay, maybe another little bit of advice. Some ups and downs in this reading, but I do see good things coming too, of course. And then the final card is the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, very positive final card to cap off on with your tarot drawing. So, as I said just a few seconds ago, I do see this path ahead for you in the near future as kind of, neutral leaning positive. I do see, of course, as I said, highs and lows. It's not necessarily like low lows though. So it's just kind of normal life, but there are some exciting things coming your way. I think, number one, because of the prominent theme of things slowing down, makes total sense. A lot of this near future is kind of working on clearing that out. It's very possible that with the Two of Cups reversed, that it's been related to your relationship with someone in the situation has been slowing things down, or if it's not just one particular person, it could be that disharmony and disunity in general has been causing some issues with things slowing down. So as one example, it might not resonate with all of you, but I'll just use it as an example. Very possible that perhaps at a workplace, there's been some sort of emotional relationship conflict. And therefore, like, say those people are working on a project together, of course it's going to slow down a little bit, because if people aren't getting along, it's really hard to focus in one direction and move things at a quicker pace. Just as that one example. Could be with family or friends too, or other situations in life where things have felt kind of slow. However, your first piece of advice, pile 3, is if you keep being gracefully persistent like the Hawk and Thistle talks about, I think you will be rewarded with that progress that you're looking for, especially the Eight of Pentacles does talk about being hard at work. So that means that I think as long as you continue being hard at work with whatever has been going on, that will lead to things finally kind of resolving in the end here in the near future for this situation. Let's see. I think, too, it is possible, because as I said, the King of Cups can be a person, as the court cards in tarot often are. And a King of Cups person is older, masculine, tends to lean more towards being a water sun sign. Although even if not a water sun sign, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be masculine or, of like higher age, right? It can mean someone that is emotionally mature, or someone that has had kind of the relationships in the situation on lockdown in terms of being respectful with everybody. However, this particular depiction of the King of Cups, I mean, he's on the shoreline and he's playing a conch shell. He's kind of just having fun, even though there's a storm in the background. So I almost wonder if maybe the slow progress for some of you it could also be because of a figure that matches this description, as I was saying before, slowing things down, because although they seem maybe like a really nice person, I mean, a King of Cups upright is usually a great person. However, maybe they're a little bit too laid back. Maybe they're a little bit too, let's chat and let's talk and have fun. Instead of let's prep for that storm in the distance that might be kind of looming and we need to build a shelter or get inside and not get swept away by, I don't know, the hurricane or the tsunami, whatever it might be, to use the metaphor. And maybe that's kind of one way that the moon applies itself overall to the theme of your reading, is this person, perhaps, yes, they seem like they're a very good teammate to have, and I'm sure they are a nice person. However, despite them being nice, it might be, maybe they're kind of slowing things down a little bit because they're just having a little bit too much fun. And I feel this intuitively. Some of you, it might not resonate with all of you, that maybe they tend to, maybe part of it is like drinking or partying too. I just know this particular King of Cups gives me that feeling, though. As I said, it might not resonate with all of you. Especially too, because with the moon that you got, or the Moonlight card, the rabbits are kind of dazed and they're kind of just going around in different directions, so that kind of makes me think of drunkenness too, but that doesn't, as I said, might not resonate with all of you. So I would say, as piece of advice number 1 here in the near future, if that resonates and you're trying to remove that influence, as nice as they might be, try to focus on improving the harmony and the unity in the relationships involved between people that are a part of the situation. And I think part of the way that you might do that is through the lesson of the moon. I think, especially for those like people that are very prominently arguing and not getting along, I think part of it is there's illusions in the situation that need to be dispelled using the moon. I almost wonder if it's like people in the situation don't quite understand what their role is supposed to be, or like they should, but they're taking a role that they weren't assigned, especially if this is like a workplace situation. Like maybe they wanted something more of a prestigious role in the situation, but then they weren't given that, so then they just thought, well, I'll just do it anyways, even though they were told not to, or that could be one interpretation. Or it could also be as well like maybe they're not quite clear on priorities, or they're not quite clear on like what actually matters. And so through your guidance pile 3, if you choose to do so, you could remove that bottleneck by reminding people like, you know, hey, quit looking off in this direction, quit getting distracted over here. And also, you know, dispel these illusions about what's actually going on here or how this is going to work. I mean, that sounds kind of stern. It kind of sounds like, you know, being stoic and chastising children. Maybe that's kind of how you've been feeling in the situation, pile 3. But I think that if you choose to follow that advice will help you with kind of removing the messy illusionary influence and what's going on, will help you remove that slow progress and make things go a bit faster. On top of that, you do have the Fool reversed as a piece of advice, and that typically is a warning that when you are starting new things here in the near future, to be wary of risks. Okay, once again, maybe this is why the children thing came out, because the Fool can represent a youthful person. And sure, they're having a grand old time. They've got their knapsack packed. They've got their, well, typically it's a dog, but it's a fox in this particular card, trotting along, having a great old time. However, what they don't notice is there's a cliff right there, because she's looking up and having so much fun that she doesn't realize, there's a cliff here. I need to watch out for that, especially reversed pile 3. So be aware of risks in the near future. I think I'll pull a clarifier on that because I want to give you more insight into how to avoid that pitfall. But it could also mean that the quote-unquote children in the situation that you've had to be the stern teacher, stoic teacher with, chastising them, that could mean that just to be wary of risks that they might take and try to plan around risks that they might take because of their laid-back nature. Okay, but yeah, let's pull clarity on that too. I just want to be sure. Spirit for pile 3, can you tell me more about what's the risk that they should watch out for, just to give them a heads up for this pitfall, so that all the children don't go running off the cliff? That would not be fun. We have temperance, which tends to mean moderation and balance, which once again, pile 3 makes me think sometimes this is a drinking card, because the traditional depiction of the temperance card is the figure pouring water between different vessels. So it can mean drinking. Kind of similar. I think sometimes the 5 of Cups is like that too. So maybe remove alcohol from the situation if that's been an issue, or other kind of substances like that. I don't know how it applies exactly to each and every one of you, but that can mean, you know, moderation. Okay. Same thing too, just balance in general, which has been kind of a communal theme today with a lot of the piles. Balance in things, being sure that people aren't doing extremes. Like, you know, you have night and day, or other way, I pointed the wrong way. You have sunlight, you have storm, which the storm has popped up twice now, with the storm in behind the King of Cups, and now this one in the Temperance card. So maybe just planning for the future for things that might come in terms of risks regarding like the unexpected. Just expect the unexpected, I guess, is maybe a way to word that a bit more in summary. Expect the unexpected. Be wary of too much in extreme, or too much in excess. And then I'll pull a second advice card here with the Ace of Wands reversed on that risk. Okay, that can be a warning with risks in terms of either starting something without passion, or being wary of starting something, or a risk with starting something that is a passion of some sort because of the imbalance of others. You know, the Temperance card kind of clarifying that as a secondary piece of advice with it. And on top of that, it can mean, you know, it's interesting, because sometimes I see the Ace of Wands reversed as like a spark growing out of control, because it is a fire card in tarot, all the Wands cards are. So be wary of people in the situation, or even maybe yourself too a little bit, of starting sparks that might grow out of control faster than you expect. Just have a lot of control in mind with this situation. Have a lot of, I don't want to say backup plans is not what I'm intuitively hearing. It's more along the lines of redundancies. That is what I'm being told intuitively. Redundancy is the main keyword. Okay, so plan redundancies, I guess is what I'm hearing mainly. So, but there's good things coming to pile 3. Spirit is just making sure that you know on your path ahead how to navigate these potential pitfalls. And then we do have, before I move on to the main positive things, though, I do just want to follow the last piece of advice here just to kind of keep it together. And like, this is the advice section of the reading. So remember your Healing Spirits Oracle, where it mentioned if the world around you seems turbulent, stop. Don't be afraid to, if someone is trying to run forward with something, like say that spark we were talking about, or doing too much in excess, don't be afraid to stop things. Don't be afraid to put things on pause. That can also be a piece of advice for you in terms of making sure that you pause for rest yourself. I know it's good to be gracefully persistent, and you're commended for that, but at the same time, don't burn yourself out. That can be another meaning with the Ace of Wands reversed. That can be a warning against burnout. I forgot about that till I mentioned it, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, that card means that too. Same thing too with Temperance, because it is a card of moderation and balance. Okay, don't overwork yourself at the same time. Maybe that's kind of where that redundancy comes in too. Making sure that people involved can do, there's people involved that, I know, like the main thing I'm thinking about is like when you're in a work situation and making sure that more than one person knows how to do something at that workplace, so that if someone drops the ball or isn't able to achieve or finish that particular task, then you have someone else there that can do it. It's like that kind of thing I'm feeling here intuitively. All right. But onto the positives. So number 1, the 8 of Pentacles is a very positive card in terms of your hard work paying off. I do see a lot of progress after these bottlenecks are removed through your graceful persistence, as the Hawk Thistle card talked about. You know, this is the card of being nose to the grindstone, yes, but naturally what comes after the 8 of Pentacles is the 9, and that typically means the fruits of your labor have paid off. So keep working hard at things, pile 3. Keep investing your effort. It will pay off. I know right now it's been quite frustrating for you, I'm feeling from this reading. However, things will blossom in the end. And then I do want to ask about the gift, just to cap off the reading. After all that advice, Spirit had lots of advice to avoid pitfalls today for you, but we do want to ask what the gift is. So, Spirit, what is that? What's the gift? So it's like a little mini blessing reading here at the very end for your path ahead. Ooh, we have the King of Pentacles. Ooh, that bodes very well in terms of your success with career and finances. The King of Pentacles is someone who manifests the penultimate success with, say, a job, or can mean a card that means promotion, especially because he's like a leader. He's like leadership in jobs, money, success, etc. Can also mean someone in a situation that is a King of Pentacles, because that is a court card. So let me draw just one more to be sure. And then we have, the Star. Also great. It means hope or faith after things have been difficult. Okay. Number 1, some of you, the gift might be literally, there is a person in the situation that is older, tends to be masculine, tends to be an earth sign, so Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, etc. That through his or their leadership, that they get involved, they might kind of help you stem a lot of these problems away to help remove that bottleneck and get progress going. So it literally could be, maybe say you have a manager in the situation that fits that description, and therefore the gift is the hope or the faith after a time of darkness, because that's usually what the Star represents, is light after things have been difficult, because typically the Tower card in tarot comes right before it, which means, a disaster happened, but then we move on to the Star and the hope or the faith that brings, the light, the dawn after the night. So either like that person will bring that forward, or it's very possible that the King of Pentacles might be you, pile 3, where you step into that leadership role and that success with material finances and stability, things like that. And therefore, you're able to kind of bring more hope or faith to the situation because of your own leadership. And specifically, he's a captain, right? He's navigating waters. He's navigating what seems kind of messy. Maybe even there's been a storm recently, although the sky is blue, but the waves in that card look a little churny, right? Just like the storm we saw with the King of Cups earlier, as well as the in the Temperance card we had a storm. So the gift is you'll navigate the storm just fine. And or either you, if you're the King of Pentacles, or someone else that matches that description, will be the main driving factor that navigates out of the storm, and that brings the gift of things turning out okay. Having hope or faith that things are going to be all right. And the star can also mean sometimes a blessing too. So very beautiful. Maybe a blessing with finances specifically because of the influence of the King of Pentacles. So, lots of things to consider for you today, pile 3. Lots of advice, but we do have, of course, some positive things as well. So I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated. I hope that you feel helped in some way. That's my number one goal with our readings. And if so, please like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And thank you if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I will see you in the woods next time, pile 3. Bye.